this character is the source of stress for a lot of people. The people who fight against Hwoarang online and like their matches end up looking something like this, and they just kind of die, do a bunch of different stuff. And to me, who plays the character and realizes that you can't just like kind of win by doing stuff like that, just doing a whole bunch of stuff for no reason that people like to do. So I wanted to kind of go over the character because people always, ask me questions about him, and I feel like I'm not really good at answering questions about the character because he's kind of like a mystery to me too. Like, what's good with him? There is a common like misperception about how the character is supposed to be played, and part of that misconception is like he is a character who is built around being super aggressive and kind of always attacking and going in, hitting people, stuff like this. But that comes from the fact that a lot of people kind of haven't really taken the time to go through his options and like understand what he's doing in different stances. When a Hwoarang player is going for offense, stuff like that, there is something key to focus on, and that is when you're in Flamingo, you have to do an attack, right? It's not like other characters' offense where, let's say I'm Jack, right? Imagine this is Jack, and I'm doing jab into down back one, right? A Jack player can jab, down back one, or jab, forward dash, back dash, down back one. He can mess with the timing of his lows. You can't really set things if the timings are kind of different, and he can kind of use his movement to bait people who are attacking after the jab, right? So if you're trying to interrupt the down back one, he can like jab and backdash and get away punish or something. That is an option that isn't available to Hwoarang when he's doing those string things. So when he commits to going into Flamingo stance, he has to attack. He can't just block. He can't move. You get hit out of the stance. And what that means is that you have a set timing for when you're going to choose your defensive option when you're fighting against Hwoarang. And it's Tekken 7. So every option, every option that your opponent has can kind of be defended against in a way that kills them, right? So let's say I'm playing against Hwoarang and I know he's going to go into left Flamingo and down forward 3, right? Something simple that you'll see in like any normal like Hwoarang match. The timing that this low can come. If he decides to go for a mid, he's going for a mid, but you have a very consistent way and timing to know that if you have a read on the down 3-4, then you can kill him with a low parry, because low parries are really threatening in this game. You can block the low, duck the high. Some characters can like wall something and launch it like really easy, but you have to like learn timing on it, like that. You can sidewalk right to the left. Look, Hwoarang might not be able to do this in the mirror. Okay, so you can sidewalk left against left Flamingo, down 3-4, and again, the timing that is coming. I keep emphasizing that, right? Because it turns less into what we see from Tekken, which is kind of a game of like timing, like timing-based offense and reads, and it turns into pure reads. When he goes into these stances, it's like saying the guess is on. And what a lot of people don't want to do when they're defending against him is try to like learn the counters to his options and learn how they can kill him for it, right? So they see this, they're like, he's just poking at me like any other character would. So for Hwoarang tips, not counters, we're going to go over how this works or how you have to play around this as a Hwoarang player too. But right now, just going through his options, right? Something simple as a mid poke from Flamingo becomes much more dangerous than a normal mid poke on anyone else's offense, like if you're doing like jab or down forward one, because you know the timing. You're more likely, if you make the read on the fact that he's going to go for the mid poke, then you just react to the Flamingo, go for the sidewalk left, and he dies. Of course, you're making this if you're expecting the mid poke or you're expecting down 3-4, you can kind of group them together because they both lose the sidewalk left, right? When he goes into left Flamingo after these jabs. Will this be on YouTube? Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. So those two options in general lose to sidewalk left out of left Flamingo. And then of course, you know, he has a jab, which you'll see also a lot of foreign players go for that after the jab. You block that. Again, you can sidestep it, sidewalk it. If you expect the jab, you can just go straight for the launch. But in general, I'm not gonna go through each and every option for you guys. But I'm kind of trying to explain how risky it is for the Hwoarang player, right? I've just demonstrated on his offense three moves out of left Flamingo that can lose to a single option on the same timing, right? And then of course he's gonna have his options. He's gonna have his other options for that, right? He's gonna have like a homing move or like right stance forward 4, something like that. But then if there's like sidestep blocking, then you end up still getting like punished for the, you know, that they could just decide not to sidestep that one time or whatever. Shout out this when you're done. Yeah, I'll be putting it on my YouTube. But okay, so we're talking about when he goes into Flamingo and he's trying to do all this offense stuff. He doesn't have the freedom of going for the timing, the mixing up his timings. He doesn't have kind of like the safety net of being able to use movement in his own offense, so he can't ever like make a truly safe decision, right? Like you could think of the safest decision from like the Flamingo stance, like a jab. You know, if that gets red, you have the timing, kill it. So what this means for Hwoarang, and in general in his gameplay, is that when you're playing against people who know his options, like when you guys see me play against Hwoarang on stream, I do a lot of. I know Hwoarang players are gonna play him like that. They kind of play him wrong. So I kind of just like play it defensively, and I let them do all this stuff because I lose nothing for like letting him do it, right? Let's say Hwoarang player just wants to keep attacking me. Right, all that. If I just block, right? That's 17 damage on that low. That's 20 damage on the low. Just by moving, you're forcing him to have to do a lot of stuff to try to keep up with your movement. And then if you don't make a read on the low, then you don't take any damage. But all of these things, every single thing in that sequence right here can get launched on a read. So you're forcing him to do all this stuff. You're not taking any damage if you guys are wrong. But if he guesses wrong, right? 1, 2, and counter hit launch that. Right? I can low parry that. I can hop kick that. I can sidewalk that. Right? That's the first move. Second move, what is it? 2-1 or 2-4? So 2-4, you can duck, launch, right? You can, hold up, can you sidewalk after that? I might be bad on my inputs right now. Hold up. Well, yeah, you can do some. If you have an evasive move, you can get around it. You can also just duck the move. You can down jab it, of course, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because down jabs are not going to give you that much reward. If you get caught moving out of it, so like if you step into it and he decides to attack after, you can you have a better chance of getting around the 2-4, which I can't do right now because I'm kind of bad, but you get the idea. And then afterwards, 2-4 goes in the right Flamingo. Like we said, he's in Flamingo, so he has to attack on the timing. You can duck that. If you have a while setting launcher, you can like really punish him for that. You can launch him for that. Let's see what else. What else? If you have a punch parry, you know some characters can punch parry that. I don't think Hwoarang is fast enough. And then after the jab itself, he goes right Flamingo or right stance forward 3, right? If you read that, you can launch that with the side step left into like a launch, or you can duck it. If you had a while setting launcher, mine is like 16 frames, so it's kind of slow. But if you duck the forward 3, you can punish for that, right? You can also step it to the left and punish him for that. You can step to the left and counter hit him if he's attacking after. After blocking forward 3, you actually have to block that mid, which is kind of nice. Forward 3 has a lot of frame advantage, so you can't interrupt it. But then afterwards, right, down 3-4, we talked about down 3-4 already. You can sidewalk it left, you can low parry it, you can hop kick it, you can counter it, launch it. So basically, you have all these options to kill him. And if you decide not to take the option, then you're taking like no damage, like very little poke damage, right? So when Hwoarang players are playing like this, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff to hope you panic and like just eat this stuff or whatever. Don't do that. Don't panic. Don't eat this stuff. Keep moving. Keep backdashing, because eventually you get one read and he dies. You're letting him do a lot of stuff that eventually you can just decide, hey, I'm going to interrupt this thing, right? If the Hwoarang player goes through this sequence like a bunch of times and you just keep letting him do it, then next time he goes forward, you can pick out any option. And it's on. And for the Hwoarang player, it's really bad to play like this because he has no idea what option you're going to pick, right? Not only does he not know which option you're going to try to counter whatever that you're going to try to counter with, he has no idea which option you're going to try to counter it with, right? So he doesn't know if you're going to go for the counter hit launch. He doesn't know if you're going to go for the sidewalk. He doesn't know if you're going to let that go and then low parry that. And he's got like basically no information, and he's done like very little damage for a lot of high risk things without much option coverage. It's all for show. That's stuff you do when you have he's basically making a sequence of hard reads for very little reward when you play the character so aggressive against a person who knows their options to counter what you're doing. So a lot of Hwoarang players kind of prey on character ignorance, and they just want to do a bunch of stuff. And if you just go to the lab, learn your options, you can just let them do a bunch of stuff, and then eventually just pick out one thing to kill them with. So that's kind of how the character is perceived, right? That's how bad Hwoarang players believe he should be played, and that's how people who don't know how to defend against Hwoarang think he should be played. When you're actually playing the character, like trying to pressure people who have solid defense and can pick out those options to kill you, you only really get those sequences by making a series of hard reads, right? So you're gonna need information about your opponent's defense before then. So there's a whole game you should play before you get rounds like that, right? But if you see me play Hwoarang in tournament, I would occasionally get rounds that would look like that, but that would only come after playing, they wouldn't come for the whole round, like the whole game. I couldn't play every round like that, because even if I do get to the point where I can make those reads on my opponent, I can't run it back. I can't run the same reads because I don't know which adjustment they're going to try to make, right? Which move are they going to try to beat in that whole sequence? You have no idea. You have to play more when you're playing this character to kind of test your opponent. He's not meant to just go in and attack like that. The reason it's easier to play him like that when like when you're playing Hwoarang in a game and you don't want to get bodied. The reason it feels easier to play him like that is because your opponent, if they are blocking these attacks, they aren't hitting you. They're not playing you in neutral. They're not breaking your defense. And if you can keep them in the blender, then you don't have to worry about getting bodied elsewhere. So a lot of Hwoarang players will try to cover their own like the faults in their gameplay with that, which is bad. But the character himself kind of has subpar neutral, and that down forward 4 is his longest range poke, right? Like that's what you have, right here. Outside of this range, at that range, down forward 1 whiffs, jab whiffs, down forward 2 whiffs, all that stuff, back 4 whiffs. These are your options. So when you're playing the character, you leave spacing, or when you're playing the character, your opponent can space against you kind of up close, right? Like if they space right here, then they're at a range where they can like just backdash the down forward 4 and make it whiff and like launch you for it. Or if you don't down forward 4, you whiff this, you're still in range to get launch punished. So he can be easy to pressure from neutral. And a lot of foreign players try to cover this up with these jabs, right? They're like, hey, if I run in and I jab into Flamingo, then I don't have to worry about getting bodied. I can keep this up. I don't have to, get bodied from neutral because I don't know how to play it. But what the Hwoarang player, this is not kind of Hwoarang, this is just Hwoarang in general. When you're playing Hwoarang, your focus should be on using what you see in neutral to gather information about your opponent, right? So you even though the character isn't good at fighting in neutral, even though if you stay in neutral, you will lose the game, right? You want to see what is it about this guy's mind that I can abuse, right? Maybe this guy doesn't want to attack after he gets poked, right? Maybe he wants to block things, he immediately starts backdashing to make space. That becomes a situation where you can dash in and like take advantage of the fact that he doesn't want to attack, right? So people who don't want to attack after eating down by 3s, you're free to move in and do what you want to do. And that kind of train of information goes it keeps going. So after you do get that read and he's not gonna attack you and you can move in right there, it's about, is he gonna duck the down 3-4? After the down 3-4, you can test him with down forward 4 and you see what he does afterwards on block. So like after the down, if he is the type of person to try to like attack after and get counter hit by this, if you're trying to duck after that, then you know that he's thinking about lows, thinking about the hell sweep. So that's information for you to use in a situation like this. You have to kind of learn to take what you see in certain situations and then apply them to others. Otherwise, the character's not going to work for you. What else? I need to... This is where it gets kind of hard because it kind of goes into different areas. So use the info from the neutral to inform the stance pressure game. Yes, basically. Right. You learn to you can see how aware your opponent is of what you do, see where their mind is from the neutral, and then when you go in, you want to use that info on not getting sidestepped and killed immediately. Which is why a lot of time when I play, you'll see me like kind of opt to stay in neutral with Hwoarang, even though everyone's like, yo, you gotta rush down. What, when they don't like really understand what's going on? I can't rush down until I at least have an idea of how my opponent's gonna respond to my stuff. Otherwise I'm gonna die. Right? Like if you just start doing stuff, you might hit it down 3-4, which is good. If you hit it down 3-4. And you kind of do have to test them. like after the down 3-4, you might want to test him with like more aggression or something like that. But you don't want to make that your default style of play. You don't want to try to like win only off that, because even though the character has those tools for aggression, his best stuff is when he reads his opponent trying to hit him back, right? Defending against Hwoarang, he's a character you can kind of kill with your left hand by just moving around and forcing him to do different stuff. But if you get a read on like anything your opponent wants to try to challenge you on, then you have options, which is kind of the core of the strategy I had with the character. You force a whiff after something. He has, you know, kind of like godlike whiff punishment. He has a skyrocket. He has back 3. Like back 3 is, I've been playing a whole lot of different characters. Back 3 is still one of the best whiff punishers I've played out of any character. You got down 4-2, which is really good for people running in who want to like try to do the same thing to you. With people who are like, I'm losing the game, I need to hit my opponent because I'm scared. You know, down 4-2 is a great option to that. These are going to be like your kind of read and kill moves. If you get someone who is throwing out big like Devil Jin 4-4-2 from neutral because he doesn't want to let you do anything, you got backlash, of course. You got, you know, if you get sidestep, you've got the sidestep whiff punish, and then you've got counter hit back 4, which is good for kind of the same thing. People who are running in and attacking. But basically, the character finds his reward when he makes his opponent scared enough to attack back. When you get them in a situation where they're like, hey, I'm not going to defend against this anymore, I'm going to attack you. You get counter hit, you know, counter hit right Flamingo 4-4. You get the right stance 4-4 counter hit. You get your backlashes. You get your counter hit back 2s. I was on the wrong side. Counter hit back 2s. And all that. But that's where it doesn't make sense, right? This is where the different sections of the character kind of don't add up, right? So the character, it's kind of easy to bait and get whiff punished on, right? So even though you do have the advantage of being able to kill your opponent whenever they attack back, the nature of the character is that he's not supposed to be able to control much of anything, so he has no range too, right? So his strength is that he has an easy time with punishing a lot of people, and his weakness is that he has an easy time with punishing a lot of people. His strength is that he has a good time, like an easy time, you know, attacking an opponent who is attacking back at him, like killing them for it when you have the read. And his weakness is that his opponent has an easy time killing him when he decides to attack. So everything that Hwoarang can do, he naturally enables his opponent to be able to do, right? His opponent can kill him easily if he decides to attack on defense because of a lack of option coverage on his pokes. You can kind of like backdash, sidestep anything, and then like kill him for it. And then that means that, you know, Hwoarang probably shouldn't be defending too much, right? He can get pressured into dying when he attacks, which is fine, because, you know, Hwoarang can also pressure his opponent, or Hwoarang can also kill his opponent when they attack back during his offense. He can die for attacking at the wrong time in neutral, which is fine because he does a good job of killing his opponent when they attack back in neutral. But the key difference is that this is the primary issue I've had with the character, and I hope that other Hwoarang players can take this info and figure something out. Is other characters will pressure you better. So we just explained when you're attacking as Hwoarang, right? You're getting like basically no reward if they're kind of being patient and they're waiting for their defensive read, right? If I do all this stuff and like they eat a couple of the all the lows and they block the mids and they just keep moving and then they make one read eventually, I can die. But let's say they don't make their read eventually, I walk away with like 40 damage I did to them or something. And they attack back, or and then let's say they decide to attack back. Let's say they decide to attack back, and I get the big backlash or whatever, and I'm doing all this combo damage or something. Then that's cool. But let's say they don't decide to attack back. I did a little bit of damage for my offense. It's not that much pressure. Like I said, you kind of don't have to be scared of his offense when you know what he's doing, and you're looking for your option. Let's say I'm fighting, I don't know, we got to simplify and pick any character. Let's say I'm fighting, it could really be any character. Let's fight Jin, right? Let's Hell Sweep. Right? 48. That is Jin's natural kind of offense, right? He has the Hell Sweep, he has the Hell Sweep mix up. He has the 4-4-3. He's got good pokes. He can kind of like stay in control of the match, all that stuff. The character Jin isn't really designed to get the craziest damage if you decide to attack back versus his offense, right? He does a lot of times he's doing stuff like all this stuff. The character is designed to chip at you if you try to get out of his stuff. He's designed to kind of take small leads, keep control of the advantage, a lot of stuff. And then he's also designed to if you decide to not attack back, he can Hell Sweep you. Well, Hwoarang's natural weakness, where his attack ranges are such that if I whip a down forward one, if I whip a jab, if I decide to kind of attack back at any situation, I'm now setting myself up to get launched and whiff punished against Jin. So Jin can kind of do the same thing that Hwoarang does, where if Hwoarang reads someone attacking back on his offense, he can kill them. Big damage stuff, whatever he has. But Jin is also balanced around the fact that his offense is good at pressuring people. So there's more natural pressure coming from Jin's offense. And then Hwoarang's natural weakness is that he dies if he attacks back. Hwoarang's natural strength on his offense is that he can kill you if you attack back. But the weakness of the offense is that it doesn't pressure you that well into doing that. So by picking Hwoarang, you are adding a strength to your opponent's offense in that they can kill you for reading your attacks. For a character, and what you're gaining is that a character who can kill you if they read, or what you're gaining is a character that you can kill your opponent if you read their attacks. But you're going to be going up against so many different matchups, and so many different characters are designed to not kill you if they read your attacks, right? Some characters are supposed to struggle with that. Some characters are supposed to have weak whiff punishment, but good control and good poking. But you're giving them that extra advantage, and it becomes really overwhelming to deal with. And that you can get pressured into a whiff into death, and you can't really pressure them into a whiff into death. You kind of have to just know when they're going to attack back. So the weakness in a perfect world, right? It kind of makes sense. A character who can kill you for attacking during his offense is also a character that dies for attacking on defense. But they balance the character's offense so that he can't pressure you that well into attacking on his offense, right? There's no reason for you to make that decision. And then other characters are designed to kind of force you into making that decision, and you're giving them more reward when you do make that decision. So you kind of, in a lot of matchups, going to be putting yourself in a bad position, which is pretty whack. So that is the primary reason that I don't play Hwoarang that often, because as people started to get better at the game, it became, I used to just kind of survive off the fact that I was really good at reading my opponent's movements. Like, not so much that they didn't really know Hwoarang, because even against people who knew Hwoarang, I could still win. It was about the fact that I could put in the work to make a billion hard reads and keep this up. I could always get that, right? I was able to make basically 20 reads of this before they were able to make 2 and like interrupt me, set me, and kill me. But people started getting better at the game, and their defense got more active, and they got a little bit better at reading stuff, and they got more awareness on them. They got better at playing neutral. They learned how to optimize their offense more, and when they have more optimized offense, I get pressured into more stuff. When their defense is getting more solid and more active, then I die for more stuff. And as the game developed more and more, it became harder to win with this character. So why play Hwoarang? You play Hwoarang to say that you're playing Hwoarang. People kind of like the character as like a circus act. I've noticed. People like my gameplay, not really because of what they saw in the gameplay, just because they saw someone like winning with Hwoarang, and they're like, whoa, he's winning with Hwoarang. And then they see me lose with Hwoarang, and they're like, whoa, he's losing with Hwoarang. He just needs to get better. But it's hard. It's really hard, especially in tournament. Online is easier. You have more time to get more information about your opponents, so you can kind of play however you want. You don't have to worry about being too safe, as long as you make the correct reasons. But when you're playing a tournament, when you're playing first to 2, and if you don't attack, then your opponent kind of like beats you in neutral by default. If you don't attack, your opponent has really strong offense because your character has really bad defense. And if you do attack, then you can die for it. It is really hard to figure out a good decision to make in tournament.